Hey there, Guilty Gear fans, this is Westertron. Today we're going to be taking a look at Epoch's Soul Badguy figure. This figure is quite a few years old, and I don't think there's actually a 2000 copyright on the packaging. So quite a few years old, almost 15 years old. But actually holds up pretty well. He's not perfect, but he's got some cool things going on. Now the figure here himself is pretty outstanding. He's got a very nice paint job. See, he comes with his huge hairpiece, which is really big, and it's got bendy holes in it and stuff, so you can kind of mess with it, but it's very tough to manipulate. So, I mean, you can get it straight, and with a lot of force, you can kind of bend it down, but it's not really doing it for me. So luckily it is also removable, so I'll probably just leave that off. I know it's not character accurate, but it works better for me. We'll show off his sword and stuff in a second, but I'm going to start with his articulation. We've got a hinge up here in the head, so his head can go very far down, very far up. He's got kind of a ball joint here in the neck, so he's got a little bit of tilt to the left and right, and then a little bit forward and back, and then also rotates there as well. Swivel hinges in the shoulders go all the way around and out to about there. Swivels in the biceps muscles, so he's got full rotation there. He's got double hinged elbows. First point gets you only about that far. I have been able to force it a little bit further, but not by much. But the second point will bring it all the way up to where he can touch his shoulder, which is excellent. He's got ball joints in the wrists, so we've got very nice motion there. And that also allows you to swap the wrist out. He's got an extra hand, it's a splayed open hand. So you can just pop that right off, pop the new one on, and boom. Now he's all cool. We've got a ab crunch here in the midsection. It's an older style, so they hadn't quite figured out all the mechanics behind it, so there's some odd things if you tuck it in like that. Like you can see his back sticks out kind of at an angle instead of very smoothly, but it's not bad. We've also got a swivel at the waist, very nice. We've got some nice DCUC style hips here. They go forward very far, go back pretty far too. Yeah, the butt pack's at an angle, but it doesn't actually block anything, so that's cool. And then out to the side, only about that far. I'm surprised that actually they didn't cut it to go a little higher, considering it's a fighting figure, but I mean, if you put both legs out, he can still get pretty decent splits. We've got swivels right up here at the tops of the belt buckles on the thighs, and we've got double hinge knees. First point gets you 90 degrees, second point takes you all the way back. Very nice. The only real letdown in terms of articulation is the ankles. There's no kind of ball or anything, it's just a classic swivel. As I said, 15 years old, but still I kind of would have liked to have seen something a little more useful down in the ankles. But you know, give and get. He's got a very nice base. It's got some nice colors in it. You can see there's kind of the gray of the stone here, but there's also some greens and some lighter yellows, and if you look at the back here, let me push him to the side a little bit, you can see there's kind of some moss color up here, so they did a pretty good job. This is nice and thick and heavy. You can see the bottom. It's got a little bit of flex to it, but not much, so it's you know, pretty sturdy. And then he also, Milia comes with something just like this, except hers is a lighter color. You can see that there. But he also comes with something she doesn't, which is an extra stone piece, which you could, I guess, set anywhere on here. And that just has a slit in the top, so you can slide his sword down in it. So that looks pretty cool. So if you just wanted to have him kind of chilling with his sword, pretty neat. I dig that. But I don't know if I'll even display him with the stand, just because the footprint is pretty large considering he's a small figure. I mean, if you stand up next to him, pretty big stand. But yeah. So why don't we zoom in a little bit and see this guy a little closer up. Now once you're zoomed in a bit, you can see that there's actually some really nice highlights on his hair. This isn't the light of my camera or anything. Like if I block the light, you can see there's still some yellow in there. It's some yellow highlights. The side, he's got these nice gold buckles. The red looks really good. There's a nice gradient to it. They did a really good job with like trying to shade everything. There's nice, it's kind of like a lighter color here, but then some deeper peaches on the arms to kind of add arm shadow, muscle shadow. He's got his free belt buckle here, very cool. It looks a lot like the character, I would say. His design hasn't seemed to change a whole lot over the years, and they stayed very true to it. You can see on the actual pockets and the lining and everything, they actually did like a gray lining. They didn't just leave that sculpted in, they actually filled it in. It was kind of like panel lining on a Gundam. So pretty cool. The plastic here is actually kind of tough. So going forward, you do get a little resistance from it, but because, as I said, these are set on a slight angle, it doesn't actually block it as much as you would think it was, which is a smart choice on Epoch's part. So very, very nice. No peg holes on the bottom of the feet, but there's also none on the stand itself, so it doesn't really matter so much. And then we've got his classic Saber. I'm not sure if this actually has a proper name. If it does, I will definitely put it down there. But as you can see, it's got a really unique handle and everything, and it's designed to kind of look like a lighter. He does have flame abilities, you know, like a classic Zippo lighter. There's the, I guess, the gas escaping there. So very, very cool, very slick. I dig this. His extra hand is designed to hold that, which is what he had when we started the video. And you just kind of like slip it in and turn. And I'm sorry, I did that backwards. You slip it into his fingers and then turn towards his thumb, and it holds it very well. So very cool. So let me zoom out one more time, and we'll talk about value. Here we've got them lined up with some various 6 and 7 inch scale figures. And you see that they're probably closer to maybe 8 inch scale, 7.5 at best. But I don't think Soul's supposed to be that tall, so probably around an 8 inch scale. For 8 inch scale figures, you know, you have the issue where you run into there's not a whole lot of 8 inch figures out there. He will probably fit in with your Joyride Master Chief pretty well. Man, there's just like a handful. I can't even think of any more off the top of my head, but it's not a common scale, but it's sort of also non-scale. You know, they don't list a scale on the packaging or anything, so it's a bit of a, well, actually they say 1/12 scale on the packaging, you know, but this is definitely not 1/12 scale. I mean, if this is a 6 inch scale figure, that would mean he was like 9 feet in real life or something, so that's definitely not off, and that would put her right at the same height as the Hound, which that can't be right. So technically it says 1/12, but this is not 1/12 scale. But yeah, for that price though, I paid $17 a piece for these. There was like $35 for the pair with free shipping. So about $17 a piece. For that, you get a really cool action figure. The only limitation I see are his ankles, which could be a little more free, a little more range in those. The swivels are okay because he's got very wide feet, but if you want to give him in any really dynamic positions, you would use a stand. Unfortunately, since he doesn't have a hole in his foot, that makes it kind of counterintuitive. So, you know, that's kind of a give and take there. But for the price, he does have excellent articulation otherwise. He comes with this great base, which is very large. You could use this with your other characters, medieval characters. It's kind of generic, so, I mean, it would be able to fit in with multiple scales as well. If you're getting into the Mythic Legends line, I think it's called, from Four Horsemen, you could go that route. You get the extra holding hand. You get the sword, and the sword has its own base. For $17, this is definitely a great deal. I would say I would go, because this is a slightly older figure, you don't really know how the value is going to line up over the years. I wouldn't pay more than $30. Because there's only two, it kind of maximizes your cost. If you stick around like $30, it will only be $60 for the pair. But I would say $25 is a much fairer price, considering it is an imported figure, even though it's a bit older. I think they're going to be a little bit higher than that on eBay, but just keep your eye open. I mean, I found them pretty quickly for a decent price. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this guy. If you have any questions or comments, oh, I forgot, NELs has this huge hairpiece that I don't find very useful. Yeah, but if you have any questions or comments, anything you would like to let me know about Guilty Gear, do you like the game? Do you hate the game if you never played it before, you never heard of it? Let me know down in the comments below. I'll be glad to have a discussion with you about it. And just any questions in general. That's it, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks to subscribers and everyone else. I'll see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.